All right, folks, Simon here. This is the January 2023 Beginner TAC Tournament, and this is the semifinals match between Klimace and Oryx, or I Hate Mary Fisher. I'm not quite sure, depending on what username they're going by. But Klimace and Oryx is what we're going to go with, and that looks to be Germany versus USA if we're looking at the nationalities, which is pretty fun. And we can see here that Klimace beat out, I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly, Wouter. Beat out Wouter to go on to the semifinals here. Oryx got a bye, which just, that's how the cookie crumbled there. That's how the dice landed, or however the phrase goes. And they've got into here. So now these two players are going to face off, and whoever wins between the two of them will make it into the finals to play against whoever wins out of these two guys. So that is exciting. That is very fun. I can't wait to see this game. So I'm not exactly sure who's going to be playing in as white or black just yet, but we are going to be playing with 15 minutes on the clock with a 10-second increment, meaning that 10 seconds gets added to their time after every turn they take. We are not playing with any komi, so if you don't know what komi is, don't need to know it. So I'm not even going to explain it because we're not playing with komi here. So it is played with that 15-minute time limit, like I said, and 10-second increment. They do play a 2-game match, swapping colors, so it's even on both sides. And then if it's still split at the end of it, if they each win one game, then they will have to play blitz tiebreaker games in order to determine who the winner is. And so that would be a blitz tiebreaker match of 3 minutes plus 5 seconds increment, and they would play 2-game matches until one person wins both games in a match. So now that that is all explained, we are ready to go, ready to jump into this semifinals match in this beginner tournament between Klimace and Oryx. So let's jump right into game 1. All right, we open up with an A6. And then black will place white's piece. I'm going to guess an opposite corner opening because that's pretty... Oh, adjacent corners. Okay. And then white going right into that knight's opening, learning from the higher level players and playing that opening. Let's see how he responds to this, because this is starting to open up a little bit like Simon's Gambit. If black were to play at A4, that would be Simon's Gambit. I don't consider that a particularly strong opening. Don't go for it. But it is something that some folks will play. Mainly me. All right, black cutting off their shifting gears. I'm imagining, yes, white dropping a capstone at C3. I feel like that was the perfect play there. That was the best move to make. That capstone is in a great spot here. It follows a lot of the guidelines in the capstones video of TAC University. And it's just really great for working for a vertical and a horizontal threat to be able to counteract any of the captures that black makes here. White's got a good capstone placement. And I think white probably wants to play down, again, at C2, just like they did. And they're probably going to snake over and place at B2, and they do, making this first tack threat of the game. Placing here at A2 would be a road. Now, if this gets cut off at A2, white can place at B1 to create a double threat, either vertical up here with F5. So playing at B1 here would threaten this horizontal with A1, or a vertical with F5, so it would force a capture out of black. So that's probably something that white wants to do here. Not going to go for it. Instead, going to be playing another threat, which would also force a capture out of black. But really focusing on this horizontal, I feel like that vertical was something that I would have liked better, personally. The B1 just felt better to me, to be able to make that vertical threat as well. Black comes over, captures. Now, this is a point where you're tempted to bring the capstone up, but if you do, Black's going to place their capstone at c3. So I feel like maybe a flat at d2 would be a little bit better here than capturing up with a capstone. But they do capture up with the capstone, giving Black the opportunity to drop their own capstone here at c3 in a very great spot for Black. I think dropping the capstone there is probably the ideal move here. And we'll see if they go for it. Taking their time a little bit. We do see that Klimace has been playing fairly quickly, way above that 15-minute start time, whereas Oryx has been taking quite a bit less time, or quite a bit more time per turn. So Klimace playing very quickly here. And in a pretty decent spot. I do feel like this capture up with the capstone was a bit of a misplay. Because it opens up that capstone drop from Black at c3, but Black hasn't played that yet, so maybe they don't see that as a great option here. Now, if you're worried about dropping the capstone here and then having White just continue to make a threat here horizontally, you've got these flats here to cut off that horizontal threat, so you don't need to worry about them going for that. You can cut it off with an e5 minus, and that's no problem. So e5 minus is probably the play right here. Once e5 minus is played, Black is free to pursue their horizontal threat by placing maybe at f3. But yeah, this is a threat for White being able to place here at a4 or to capture up with b2. So they do make the e5 minus move. If you're wondering what I mean by e5 minus, that is portable tack notation. Just means e5 moved down. If you're having trouble understanding the portable tack notation, like we see over here at the left-hand side, that is described in the portable tack notation or PTN video of Tack University. So White replaced here right at e5. This is where, if I'm Black, I'm going to drop a flat at f3 and force White to respond to my own threat. There is a problem with that, and the problem with dropping an f3 is that White may decide to come up with b2, and coming up with b2 creates their own tag threat and stops Black's tag threat at the same time. So that's where things get a little bit risky, and you will eventually have to bring the e4 stack to the right. But having f3 there protects that stack from everything except for, well, this capstone here, or maybe a wall placement from White. But White coming up with b2 plus, I feel like is the right play here for White, since it does create that threat and stop Black's threat at the same time. White now finally taking a little bit of time on this turn, trying to decide what to do here. I think it's a smart decision. This is where a lot of things could go wrong for White. Granted, Black is making a threat, so got to defend against that. But got to do so in a smart way that can get that momentum back in your favor. He does decide to go for that b2 plus move, creating the tag threat and stopping Black's threat right away. This is where, if I'm Black, I might be looking at bringing 2e4 to the right, but that's problematic for a couple other reasons. Because White may decide to place here at d5, which would be really difficult to stop. The only thing they would really be able to do is come up onto d4 or come left onto b3. I think coming left onto b3 would be better. Yes, they could come up with a2, but it's not a long-term solution. It would just end up thrashing and not be particularly productive. But this capstone coming left would be able to significantly cut off white's threat because of the ability to come up and leave behind on b3 and block white's capstone. However, I would say that white is in a significantly better position at this point in the game. Now we do look at the flat count as well, even though it is fairly early on in the game and it is a beginner tournament game. Beginner games typically do not go to flats. However, there is a possibility that they do. I believe there was even a flat win in one of Klimace's games in the quarterfinals. So definitely not unheard of. But if we look at the flats, it is 8 flats for white, 7 flats for black. So white has a better positional advantage and a resource advantage at the moment right now. And if I'm not mistaken, white has played more flats as well, yes. Which brings them closer to ending the game. Granted, it is only one more flat that they've played, but it is still more. All right. That looks like... It looks like black is making this capture to bait white into capturing it with their capstone. Which I don't feel like would be a good trade here. Now black, so white is not making a threat. Black can place at b2 to make a threat, and they do that. That's pretty good. So white probably needs to take c2 left here, and that's what they do. They take c2 left. Black is not able to renew their threat on this turn, which means white is able to do something dangerous, I would say. And the dangerous thing they'd be able to do after black makes whatever play they make would be probably to play up at e6. Playing at e6 is the threat horizontally, but also creates this vertical line as well, this vertical anchor point, that then this capstone can come right and come down with. Ooh, but that wall comes over. I think, no, okay, so that does the same thing as e6, but I don't think it's as good as e6. I feel like f5 is weaker than e6, but it does create this horizontal attack threat, does allow for the vertical anchor point. So this is a threat now from white. Black has to respond to that in some way. One of the ways they can respond to it is coming up with that wall, but then white just places a flat at e4, and then again, that is another road threat. So if white places now at e4, now that the wall's come up, if white places at e4, that is another threat. Yeah, and that's what happens. Aliano2 in the chat here saying that he needs to bring that capstone left onto b3. And yeah, I feel like that's been the move that black has needed to play for a while. To make that that capture, to cut off that horizontal threat. However, now, once black does that, captures over onto b3 because they've created that stack onto d4, this one here, white's capstone is going to be able to come over and make threats in the vertical direction and the horizontal direction, and it's just going to be a risky play for sure. So no wall movement can happen here. This is basically got to be that capstone moving left onto b3. There are other moves, sure. Could come up with e3. Could come up with f3. could, I mean, for just a laugh almost come up with a2. But the a2 is the worst of all of those because it can just be replaced by an a4 placement. So he does just opt not to move, or black does opt not to move that capstone. Instead captures up with the flat at e3. This is a risky play here. I think that the play here with the capstone, taking this capstone stack, bringing all three, dropping one, and then dropping two. Then we've got the capstone here. You've got the flat here ready to spread left for the road threat, but also you can spread down, not necessarily for a vertical road, but definitely for a strong vertical threat. And I think that that's probably the play you want to make here. Yeah, that feels really good to bring the whole stack over. So 3c4, right, 1, 2. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Although Alien02 did point out, oh, looks like he had the same idea. He does point out c5 also possible. Yeah, c5 does create a tack threat. No, it doesn't. c5 doesn't create. I thought it did create a tack threat, but it doesn't. C5 I don't feel like is that good. Yeah, I would prefer the spread from the capstone. But instead we see an a4 placement, just building this citadel here. This is not a tack threat for white. So black has the opportunity to build up their position a little bit. Now it may be that they want to play at b1 to be able to capture, something like that. I'm not really sure why a4 was placed. I think that the capstone spread would have been a lot better. If black wants to win this, they've got to be aggressive, but they are in a losing position currently. Like it's a really, really uphill battle. So they might want to play, I say a b1, either a flat or a wall at b1. I think a flat because it's more unassuming. So if you do a flat, oh, I don't like that one at all. That play at c5 I feel like is it's meant to be defensive, but it is not defensive enough, and it doesn't do anything offensively. So I feel like that is a struggle. I mean, black may be deciding to go for a vertical here, but that's a few turns out, and they're not going to have the time to make that move if white goes for this. So I think black's in quite a bit of trouble here. I think the reason I was saying b1 is because you could then play a capture onto b2 and win the stack war and get some flats back, make some positive flag on differential moves in the vertical direction up there, up onto b4, b3. You could spread out that stack and get some more stuff to play with there. I think that would be a good move to make. But white now is either spotting that vertical line or going for the horizontal around this wall by placing an e6 on the following turn. That would be a threat here. Ooh, and now we see the wall come down. Yeah, I think that... So that's the threat now. Now we've got the horizontal threat. White can capture right, can capture up, and complete that threat. Let's see. And yes, smashing that is very tempting, and like Alion said, it may be Tinue to smash that instead of place at e6, but I feel like the placement at e6 is not bad at all. It's a really good move. It's a lot more disciplined than you would expect from a beginner player for sure. Because that's very tempting to smash that wall. You would not be able to make an immediate threat in the vertical direction, but you would be able to make a threat in the horizontal for sure. And this is where c6 or, yes, probably c6 to renew the threat, or just go for the smash now. The smash works pretty well still. That would be a horizontal threat, and you would basically be forcing the capstone up. Not completely, because this would have a double black that could spread over. And that could cut off that, but then black would be able, or white would be able to spread this down for a really strong vertical threat. That's tough. Yeah, I think the smash is the way to go here. Doesn't, goes for the c6. I'm not sure if that's playing it safe or if it just has the illusion of playing it safe. And the wall. And now will we see a b5 flat? A flat at b5 renews that threat in two ways. So a flat, yeah, so he can place at b6 or he can smash the wall here at c5. So white's gotta, or black has to take this wall and bring it up onto c6 or capture up with the d5 flats. Those all work pretty well. Aliano2 in the chat does not appreciate how reserved white is being here, which is strange because he's pretty reserved, but he's also very greedy when it comes to getting flats and flat count. All right, and that wall stack finally does come up. Now white is unable to make that smash that they've kind of been waiting for this whole time. But it may be time to make that spread regardless. If you make that spread, okay, he just places. Placing now just renews the threat. I mean, it's so close to being a Tinue. So close. Okay, I feel like now you've got to make the spread. You've got to take 3c4, right 1, 2. I mean, you gotta, right? You gotta. Take it. So if he takes it, he's got this to be able to spread down. He can smash up. He can spread this left for the road threat. So I imagine after he makes this spread, black drops a wall or brings the capstone up, something like that, to stop this immediate threat from happening. But if he does that, white can then spread up or spread down. If he spreads down, that's a vertical threat. And then he can use the capstone stack to come up onto e6 and smash that, make the horizontal threat again. Like, this is, it's really, really good to make that move. If he wants to get Tinue, he can play b6 first. But I don't think that it's necessary at this point. I feel like making the b6 play allows black to get out of that tough situation they're in, or at least partially out of it. It allows black to make a move, maybe with a capstone over onto b3, and kind of get back into the game with that capstone. And that would be rough. That would make it a lot more difficult for white to win this. But I think... Yeah, I think you would take the spread. You got to take the spread with the capstone on c4 now. That's got to be the move he makes. I can't see another one that does nearly as well. Because what you do afterwards is you just spread this down for the vertical, because this is going to get walled or capstoned or something. And then you just spread that down for the vertical thread or the horizontal one. You take the capstone, you spread it up, smash for the horizontal one again, or you spread it down for another vertical. Like, there's just so many options you have after that capstone spread. You'd be recovering 4 flats and making a +3 flat count differential move. And we do see that Klimace is still at 8 minutes on the clock, whereas Oryx is just below 6. So Klimace still has more time, but spending that time here at these later turns than previously. Does play at b6. He's going for the Tinue, but this allows black. So this is not a threat for white. White cannot make a road here. So black playing at b1, I think he needed to make the capture with the capstone, because now spreading is the Tinue. So spreading is now Tinue. That's it. Black coming left with c3 would have been able to spread up to stop it. Can't do that anymore. It's over if white makes that capture spread, because that's a horizontal threat spreading. Wait. Okay. That works also. Not what I was looking for, but it does the same. No, it doesn't, because now, no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work, because now black can spread this to the left and drop 1-1 here to stop it. I'm pretty sure that works. That still works for black. Black can still stop this with that spread. Oh, was that a vertical threat? Oh, it was a vertical threat. I didn't see the b6 vertical threat. Yeah, I was thinking that the capstone had to come left onto b3. But yeah, he was making a threat for b1. That's why black placed at b1. Okay. I think the capstone needed to come left. But that spread, so that was the wrong spread. He needed to leave behind a white here. No, he needed to leave behind nothing here on c4. And then bring 1 and then 2. So 3 c4, right, 1, 2. Leaving a white stack here, capstone white stack here, and blank there at c4. But he didn't, and now black has an opportunity to spread this left and at least temporarily block this. Okay, and they've done it. They've spread left to temporarily block it. Now does white spread left again onto c4? So white, so basically 3e4 left 1 2. Would that renew the Tinue? Not quite. But yeah, it's gotta be a win here. If he just spreads to the left, leaving behind white, capstone, that's another threat in this horizontal direction. Black would probably be forced to bring something up here, down or up onto d4, and then white just captures up with this flat stack on b3, also denying black the opportunity to come left with the capstone. And then this would have to come down, but if it came down, it would just be replaced, fill in at e6. Yeah, this got to be Tinue. If he comes left with this capstone stack, it's Tinue. Yeah, definitely Tinue. And he does. He makes the right stack spread. Can he follow it up to seal the deal here? So this is a road threat in the horizontal direction. This is where white could bring this wall stack down now on e4. That doesn't work. Now I say 2b3 plus. Once 2b3 plus happens, that's Tinue. And then that wall stack can't even do anything now. So bringing that d3 plus basically ruined it. Yeah. Now it's Tinue for sure. Yep. Nothing that black can do here to stop it. So congratulations to Klimace for winning game 1 of this semifinals match in the January 2023 Beginner TAC Tournament. This is a really fun one. That was a very dominant performance from White. White was basically in the lead the entire time, but there is still room for Oryx to come back in game 2 and even things up. If Oryx wins game 2 as White, they will have to go into tiebreakers. So I don't think that this match is nearly over. But that was a fun game to watch for sure. And we'll see if Black recognizes that they've got nothing that they can do here. Let's see. Coming up with f3. Let's see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's nothing they can do. Coming down with the wall is the closest, but then you just fill in at e6 and win. But yeah, that was a fun game to watch for sure. Definitely a higher level of play than we probably saw in their group stages. The players of these beginner tournaments always seem to improve dramatically throughout the course of a tournament. It is impressive for sure. All right, Oryx just still taking time here, trying to see if there's a way to get out, but there isn't. But I mean, you obviously don't want to lose. If you do find a way out, you want to look for one for sure. You don't want to just give up too soon. But here it is. Now White can fill in at e6 or just capture left with e5, and that's a road. But White can still miss this. White can think that they have to spread and smash. I wonder if Klimace missed it. If he's not seeing his own road. Okay, he did see it. All right. So that is the end of game 1. I'll say it again. Congratulations to Klimace for winning this game 1 of their 2-game match. It is not over. They still have one more game to go. At least one more game to go. They could be moving on to Blitz tiebreaker matches if Oryx wins game 2 as White. So we'll see how this goes. that was a really dominant performance from White. You can see just how much influence on the board White had and how strong all their threats were. They did end up with a Tinue, so that's a really great, great way to win a game. Of course, it feels super great to get a Tinue, but we'll see how he does as Black. Thanks everybody for watching. That is all for today. Be sure to check out the description below for all things TAC, especially the TAC Discord server, which is the community hub, and where you can find all sorts of TAC resources like strategy guides and people to play with, whether that be online through playtac.com like this, or right through the Discord server itself playing asynchronously. You can play just one move a day if you want to. And anyway, that is all for today. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, have a great day and happy tacking.